Greetings, fellow humans, and welcome back to the March of the Writers. And we're gonna do something I haven't done in a while, which is do a tea with JD. So this is a March of the Tea with JD. This is actually my favorite rooibos tea, which is red bush tea. It's nice, it's earthy, it's calming, it's cool. I'm using this setup because right now they're doing some repairs in the building, and if I didn't use these headphones, the background noise wouldn't let me record this. So enjoy my scruffy self. We're gonna take it a little more calm with this one, because there's a lot to talk about. I'm not gonna take 13 minutes, hopefully. So this is called Digging Deep, when we're going to talk about research. So, research is a fascinating thing, and we all love losing ourselves in rabbit holes. And I'm going to talk about a couple of aspects from my writing. So, research for characters. Some characters are completely fictional. Some are based on people. So let me give you two examples, and I'll tell you how I did for research. If you've read The Human Cycle, or if you haven't read The Human Cycle, there's a character called Bill. I won't go into details with who Bill is, what he does, who he could be, or all the mysteries. I will just let you know that he's based on Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks is my favorite stand-up comedian. He passed away in '94. His comedy is still relevant today. That is kind of amazing and scary at the same time, but it is what it is. So what is my research for Bill? That included watching all of his stand-ups so that I could get an idea of his cadence, so I could get an idea of the words that he uses without going verbatim. Something that he might have said being under the character or the influence of that character. Bill was from Houston, so that's why that character has a Texan accent, and it just allows me to have fun with that. His look. There's actually a certain aspect with Bill and Lou. Bill and Lou look like twin brothers. Again, this plays into The Human Cycle and the concept behind those characters. Won't offer spoilers. We'll say that Lou is also based on Bill. Here's a couple of interesting things. Bill Hicks had his really wild years where he was using all sorts of drugs, drinking, and he eventually even quit smoking. So I have Bill, who smokes nonstop, occasionally has a drink, but smokes nonstop. And then I have Lou, who drinks nonstop. One has glasses, and he's clean shaven, while the other one doesn't have glasses. He's wearing a turtleneck, and he's actually a little scruffy. If you look at Bill Hicks' stand-ups for Relentless and the other HBO stand-ups that he did, they're mirroring his looks there. That is for Bill. If we switch gears and we go to Given to Fly, in Given to Fly there's a character called Noam. Noam is a bookworm. Noam is based on Noam Chomsky. My research for Noam was there's a documentary on Chomsky called Rebel Without a Pause. I watched that so that I could get the cadence and the speed, and when I wrote Noam, I was thinking about him very, 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 very consciously, how he looks and how I can take those features and transpose them into a bookworm. It was a lot of fun. So that's how I do for some characters. For locations, it all depends on how accurate you want to be. And there are locations in The Human Cycle that are based on places that I've actually gone to, namely a lot of places in Spain. And the research there was just doing the introspection and how did I feel when I went to the Valley of the Fallen, which is a monument in Spain. It's fascinating. It's a fascinating place. And just try to imagine how other people coming through a different trajectory would react to that place. That's a place that I actually went to. There are several places that I included in France, in Egypt, in Eritrea, in Djibouti, in the Red Sea, in Myanmar, in different places in Sri Lanka that I've never been to, and the research for that was just to, and at that point I didn't have the resources that I have today. The process today would probably be different. The research there was a lot of looking up on Wikipedia and Google and articles and stuff like that. And from doing that research and those articles, I was able to include some details. When they go, there's an instance where they go to Lake Tana, which is in Ethiopia, in the highlands, and I read a review, a travel review, of someone who went there to that lake that I wanted to go. And I included elements from that review, the name of the tour guide and stuff that happened to them. And that was fascinating because in the process of research, I was able to find so many little nuggets that just made it into the story. So that's locations. Right now, you can go in with Google Earth and Google Maps and just seeing street locations. You can be very accurate, hyper accurate if you want to. Other times research is just walking around and taking in the surroundings. For future projects, that I'm actually including that, and I'm taking places that I've been to here in Atlanta, and I'm going to include that. Right now for Penumbra, which is my recent release that is set almost entirely in Puerto Rico. For that one, the research included my experience in Old San Juan. And that was a lot of fun. Okay, so that's locations and that's characters. What about plot points? I have what I call dump documents. For the human cycle, I have documents for each of the books that is 200 pages long. So what's 200 pages of miscellaneous data? I wanted to include information about angels. Go to different websites, copy paste that. I wanted to include information on sacred geometry or stuff like that, and stuff that I didn't end up using. And here's the thing, when I'm writing, maybe there's a point where you get a little stuck. Looking at that document, it's just feeding you raw information. And my experience is that sometimes when you're stuck, raw information is brilliant to knock you out of that block and let you find something. If something is interesting enough to your brain, it's going to latch onto it. That's my process. And literally, I'm browsing through this document. I'm like scrolling up, scrolling down. I end up on page 38, and I go like, okay, let's start reading and see what pops up. The entire page might be stuff that doesn't call my attention, but then there's one line of one thing, of one alcove in a building somewhere that makes me go, oh. That is definitely something that I want to include, and you just go with it, and that's how research empowers me. Because apart from plot points and apart from being accurate, I also get a lot of raw information that is just reading material for when I get blocked. For my Spanish release, Penumbra, that was fascinating. In several ways, and it's fascinating because I took elements from Greek mythology and I just gave it a twist. A chimera, I gave that a twist. Scylla and Charybdis, if you've never heard of those, look it up. It's some interesting information, and I took that and I gave it a twist, because when you listen to raw information, sometimes people just want to include something accurate, and for me, what's really rewarding is to give it a twist that, it's just taking that information, looking it at another angle, and just giving it a perspective that it's never had. I love that, and to me, that's fascinating. So that's locations, miscellaneous information, characters, and taking elements from different things in research. Use research to feed your brain. Use it as an opportunity to learn too. Not just, okay, my story needs this, so I need to look for that. No. Be curious. Be wildly curious, and invite yourself to look for stuff that makes no sense to include, because guess what? Maybe you're going to find a link to a recipe from 16th century Germany that is going to be perfect for your story.